Continuing major trends in Jewish mysticism, the notes section of lecture 283. We have the following texts. One in Merkabah Shalima, folio 30a and 33b. 2 Semek Retzial, 1701, folio 37a to 38b, with the various different readings in Merkabah Shalima, folio 34a to 40a. 3 manuscript Oxford, 1791, folio 58 to 71. Sefer Hakoma in 12 chapters. Fragments of it are scattered also in the Out Yut Der Akiba and other works of the Merkabah literature. 84. This formula is an imitation of the ending of the last treatise of the Babylonian Talmud, Nida, where it is said, Kol Hashuna Halkut Bakol Yum Lu Shahwa Bun Howlam Haba. 85. Yehuda Halevi and Semek Hekuzri 4:3 defends the Shir Koma. Babur Shish Bu Mahkanam Mahkanas Murau Bun Pashut. Note for 86 is the verse of the Psalm 145:5. Gadul Aduninu Warab Ketch was interpreted, the height of our Lord is 236, according to the numeric value of Warb Ketch. 87. Merkabah Shlama, folio 38a. 88. Epidem, folio 37a. 89. Krop Einleitung in die Koptischen Zabertext, 1930, page 41. A kind of Shir Koma mysticism is to be found also in the Coptic Gnostic treatise, translated by Charlotte Baines, page 42. The hair of his head is the number of hidden worlds, etc., 90, and Gaster Das Shir Koma in his Studies and Text, volume 2, page 1330 to 1353, particularly 1344. Although mistaken in many particulars, Gaster has recognized the true Gnostical connotations of the Shir Koma. 91. The connection between the speculations about the body of truth and the idea of the primordial man and Marcus's system is obvious. 92. Manuscript Oxford, 1531, folio 40b. Kabikul, Kamutnu, Hawa, Wahua, Gadul, Makal, Wazahu, Kabudu, Shun Sutter Mup Ninu. 93. For this reason, the phrase in some text reads more fully, Kol Hiuda Shubchu Shul Hakab Ha Shahwa Makusa Man Haber Yut. Also the same meaning of Shabach in General Rabbah, editor Theodore, page 775. 94. Outyut Dar Octaba Goof Heshkina. On the letter cheat. Also the quotation in Arugat Hubchum Semek, edited by Urbach, 1939. Page 127. 95, MGWJ, Volume 8, page 115, FF, and similarly in his History of the Jews. 96, Shah Harastani's Religions Parthaien und Philosophen Schulen, translated by Harbrucker, Volume 1, 1850, page 116, and his account of the Mushabaha. 97, look at Bloch, Geschichte der Entwicklung der Kabbalah Kurs zusammengefasst, 1894, page 14. 98 relates to Third Enoch, edited by Odeberg, chapter 7. 99, the same, chapter 15. 100, manuscript Oxford, 1531, folio 137 to 145. 1539, folio 1 through 21, New York, Jewish Theological Seminary, manuscript Muggs, 419F. 66 to 70, Vatican, 228, folio 93 to 103. The best manuscript here we find the ideas of First Enoch is that of Asa and Azael betrayed God's secrets to man. B, by their fall into the Tartarus, here the mountains of darkness. And remember that the ones that fell, per se, are the ones that had the choice whether or not they could fall. You know, not all these, the loyal host was perpetually the loyal host. They didn't really have gender, But that's not always clear in Hebraic sources. But Gershom G. Scholem, in his Major Trends in Jewish Mysticism, is making the point that once you have something called Judaism, if not further back, something that could have been called Judaism, I put it back as far as 540 BCE, right? Some put it in the 20s, but and then the second book of Maccabees is when you find historical Judaism mentioned. But the point is that all these mystical trends by that time had been incorporated by incorporating all the religious traditions and stuff that made their way into what we know of Judaism. 101, he says, I have been unable to discover a source in the older literature for the scurrilous legend current in the Middle Ages of Enoch, the shoemaker, a mythical Jacob Bohem, who, with every stitch, connected the upper and lower world, The legend may or may not have grown out of Hasidic circles in the medieval Germany. In a manuscript from the year 1458 in Paris, folio next all 786, folio 109b, is already mentioned Matsati Katub. Odeberg, in his extensive study on the Enoch Metatron legend, in the introduction to his third Enoch, makes no mention of it. It is quoted by many 16th century Kabbalists. And one of the things that we find is that Judaism starts all these things not just because of some issue that per se can be found with taking the text literal. It's more along the lines of people didn't want Judaism, particularly after Maimonides, to be just, some form of scholasticism or something, well, not scholasticism per se, but they didn't want it to be just some type of philosophy, right? 102, the first writer who seems to have suspected the identity of Metatron and Yahoel is Box in his introduction in the Apocalypse of Abraham, page 25. He is seen deeper than the author of the article on this apocalypse in the EJ Volume 1, 553. 103, in addition to lists given in Odeberg's edition, chapter 48, and in his note, page 174, mention must be made of the list printed at the end of Abraham Hamoy's Semek Beit Din, Livorno, 1858, folio 196 to 201. 104, Sanhedrin 38. Haggadah 15a and Aboda Zara 3b. 105 relates to, note 105 in lecture 2, relates to Odeberg's introduction to Third Enoch, page 189. It's analyzed the Gnostic references to the little Ja'o in the Coptic work Pistis Sophia. 106. The instances quoted from earlier mystical text by Odeberg, page 33, could easily be supported by other quotations. A particular interest in this connection would be a quotation from an 8th century Christian text in Syriac, which I have found in Bedez et Cumont. Les Magus, Hananesis 2, page 115. It reads, Bulchud din Hada Mita Ana Lawahdana Aduni, because that's actually the older Aramaic way of spelling it. It's not a tetragrammaton, but with a wow in the middle of it. Qathan Rabach Yala Daduni Gadol Thuaye Shukyurta Dutch Lutta Dubni Yishral. Even the plain spelling Aduni has its justification in specific passages. It has its justification in specific passages of the literature on the names of Metatron. Well, Aduni, with or without the wow, is the title, right? See also Man's Texts and Studies in Jewish History 2, page 85 and 88, and Grunbaum's quotation from Mas'udi in ZDMG, volume 30, page 272. 107. The Qur'ite author Kirkisani, from the beginning of the 10th century, the Common Era, quotes the Talmudic passage, obviously Sanhedrin 38. Kalu P. Al-Talmud on Mithrun Hu Yud Qathan. It is well possible that the name Yud Qathan was deliberately eliminated from the Talmudic manuscripts because of its heretical connotations. 108. The manuscript in the British Museum, Margoliouth, number 752, F. 45b. Yahuwal al-Shem Shahya. Vrabu Shul Abraham Abinu Wahwa Lamad. Labraham Abinu Kol Hatura Yahuwal Huwa Hamalak Shakra Lamshuch Rabyanu Laut Lashmim Bum Sukkot Sun Hadrin Yesh Wal Masha Amr Allah Al Yud Ali Mabai Yah Allah Allah Lautu Malak Shashmu Keshem Rabu Aleph Lamed Yahu Hey Yud Yahuwal. (109). See Odeberg, page 125 to 142. Origin of the word Metatron. And also Louis Ginsberg's Legends of the Jews, volume 5, page 162. 110. Hiklut, Rabti, chapter 22, and Odeberg to 3rd Enoch, chapters 17, page 59. Muscat, Hiklut, for note 111. Edited Jelnek in Beth Hamidrash, volume 2, page 40 to 47. That wasn't supposed to be done. 112. Midrash, Mishle, Editor Buber, folio 34A, FF. In some instances, I have corrected the translation in accordance with the readings of the quotation found in the manuscript of Azrael's Pirush Hagdut in the Hebrew University Library, folio 29b. See also the enumeration of subjects in chapter 13 of Hiklut Rabti. 13. Pistis Sophia, chapter 139, in Carl Schmitt's German translation, 1925. The Greek term is katap et tasmata, whereas the Hebrew texts speak of pergud, shul, makum, are pergud. 3rd Enoch, chapter 45. Out Ute der Akba, editor Wertheimer, page 50. Quotation from Midrash, Abki Resh, and Yalkut, Shimoni, 173. Also Rashi on Yebamoth, 63b, and Baba Metzia, 59a. Note 15. Such apocalypses are chapters 4 to 6 of the Hiklut Rabti Chushbana Daktsa are Perki Rash Wush Ma'al. Yush Ma'al. Okay. Manuscript and Allow Memorial Collection, 704, in the Jewish Theological Seminary in New York. Parma, 541, number 21. Oxford, 2257, the greater part of which is incorporated in the version of Hiklut Rabti, chapters 6 through 9, in the manuscript New York Jewish Theological Seminary, 828, the entire literature around the figure of Zerubbabel, the apocalypse of Simeon ben Yochai, etc. Now remember, a real apocalypse isn't just some text that wasn't included in the main body or whatever. A real apocalypse is sort of an unveiling thing, like the book of Daniel or the book of Revelations. 116, Hiklut Rabti, chapter 16. 117, Midrash Tanhuma, edited by Buber, 5, page 31. And 118, the Midrash in Helkut Gadulut, edited by Hildesheimer, page 223, quoted by L. Ginsberg, Legend of the Jews, volume 6, page 438, and Rashi's commentary on the Canticles 1-2. And Canticles, they mean the Song of Solomon. That's thrown me off sometimes because I was raised calling it the Song of Solomon, not Canticles. So what's this Canticles book? Is that one of the Apocrypha books? On the question of Thami, Tura, Peshahim 119a, Sanhedrin 21b, Shabbath 120a, 119, the valuable contribution of N. Glatzer, Unter Sakungen, Zur Geschichtslehrer der Tanaeten, Berlin, 1932. 120, there are several fragments of the Beriyita, the Asha, Brashit, Genesis, A, in Semek Rezial, 1701, folio 35a to 36b. B, under the title of Bati Buttershoot, is what Seder Rabba Debarashit is in, and edited by Wertheimer, Volume 1, page 1 to 31. C, in the supplement to Kone's Reb Palim, 1894, page 47 to 50. D, in L. Ginsberg's Schuchter Gunzi Schuchter. You know, they have the English one way and the other way, so I messed it up. I'm sorry. Volume 1, page 182 to 187. 121, Mishnah Haggadah 2:1, and the Excerpta X. Theodoto of Clement of Alexandria, Cassie, 1934, 78. 122, Haggadah 12b, 123, Abath de Rabbe Nathan, chapter 34. Chapter 37. 124, note 35 to lecture 1 has the same, and he's published a German translation, Das Bachbahir, in 1923. 125, the book is mentioned by Daniel Alkumasi, Text and Studies in Jewish History, Volume 2, page 76 and 79, and by Hai Gaon of Outzer Hagaunim Lam Sukkot Hagiga Chiluk Hut Shubut, page 21. 126 regards a pupil of Eliezer of Worms, quotes several passages from the Semek Sor Hagdul in his commentary on the Shir Coma, which I've discovered in a manuscript of the Angelica in Rome, Capua number 27, and other manuscripts, partially also in New York Jewish Theological Seminary, 844, folio 100a to 103a. Another fragment from Sudar Hagdul is found in manuscript Malayano 59, folio 20, in a piece called Sudar Hamar Kaba 127. There exists a batch literature on this book. His article in Jazeera in EG Volume 9, column 104 to 111, where bibliographical notes are given. The English translations and commentaries of W. Scott, 1893, and K. Stenring, 1923, contain some rather fantastic passages. 128, L. Bach has tried to show that the Book of Creation is a Jewish adaptation of certain basic ideas of Proclus, much as the books of Dionysius the Pseudo-Areopagite are a Christian one. MGWJ, Volume 70, 1926. Page 371 to 376. Volume 78, 1934, page 448 to 455. But his reasoning is not very convincing, although his thesis looks fascinating enough. Some very remarkable similarities between the Book of Creation and early Islamic Gnosticism have been pointed out by Paul Krauss, Jabir ibn Hayyan, Volume 2, Cairo, 1942, page 266, 268, 129. Such words or phrases are Babuli, Al-Kasun, Sapirut, Yama, which make no sense in good Hebrew, are the use of Almuk in the sense of principle, Autiyut, Yasud seems to imitate the double meaning of the Greek word stoicheia, meaning both elements and letters. There is no lack of passages in the Old Aggadah in which stress is laid on the link between creation and the letters of the Torah, as well as on the secret powers of man. Barkoth 55a, Sanhedrin 65b, Abath de Rabbi Nathan, chapter 39, editor Schechter, page 116, Midrash Tehillim, editor Buber 17a, the Supper Yetzirah regards the letters and their combinations as cosmical powers, the fundamental hypothesis of every magical application of words and names. The Hebrew phrase of Labush at Heshem responds to the Syriac one. Odes of Solomon 39:7. Lebshu, Shema, Demrima, Paul, Roman 18:14. Oh, Romans in the Bible. Says similarly, put ye on the Lord Jesus Christ. This goes far beyond the corresponding use of Lebush in the Hebrew Bible. Or it's really Aramea, but 132, this rite is described by Semek Hammelbush, found in many manuscripts, like Sassoon 290, folio 311 F, British Museum 752. There's details in Margoliouth's catalog, page 38, and also note 112 to lecture 4 of this book. 133, Hiklut, Rabti, chapters 27 to 30, and some very valuable pieces in a manuscript in Oxford, 1531. This is its number. 134, the book Herba Dumsha has been first published by Gaster in 1896. Most of the books are extant in manuscript. Habdallah der Akiba, Semek Hisher, see note 100, and Sipper Herzium, Sassoon 290, page 302 FF, Shemushi Tura, and Seper Shemushi